Right, so come to stand on your mats, if you will do, or on the floor, wherever you're working this evening. And let's just remind ourselves of our setup. So standing with our feet hip distance apart. Oh, I've lost myself, lovely. Knees are going to be nice and soft. And let's just bring our focus to the pelvis. So just doing a few of our pelvic tilts. So we know what that looks like with lengthening and tucking the tailbone underneath. And then just letting that tailbone sit back, arching the lower back, and then tucking underneath. That feels good just to get things moving. So just continue with a few more of those. Take it a little bit further if you can. Good. And then come to where your pelvis rests level. And take a breath in. As we breathe in, we're going to draw the shoulders up towards the ears. And as we breathe out, we're going to melt those shoulders down and away to open up into a nice long neck. And again, deep breath in, shoulders roll up and out, slide down. Oh, feels good just to breathe. And again, deep breath in. And then we're going to really use this breath out to set those shoulders. So tuck your shoulder blades into your back pockets and reach your hands down towards the mat. Nice long arms. And then we're going to roll the chin down towards the chest. So as if we're going to do a roll down, but we're just going to work into the neck. So really work through every bone in your neck. And then we're going to stack back up. And use the weight of your head to draw your neck down towards your chest. So when you get to the end, it should feel like a lovely pull through the back of the neck. Let's go again. So peeling down through the neck, one bone at a time. You have 7 bones in your neck. So think about all of those vertebrae rolling on their own before you start the next one. Let's do one more. Lovely deep breaths continue. And then on this next one, we're going to take it a little bit further into our ragdoll. So still nice and slow through that spine, peeling down through the neck. But now we're working into the upper spine or the thoracic spine. Right down. Just let your hands hang in front of your knees like a ragdoll. And then slowly stack back all the way up to stand through those bones in the rib cage and through your neck. And again, just take your time with these. Really enjoy that sense of slow movement, being mindful of how your body feels, working through any stiff areas, breathing through any sore areas. Still just going to that ragdoll, so hands just about towards the knees. Now you can stay here or you can add a little bit of a twist on the next one. So rolling down to our ragdoll stretch. And then you're going to take one hand and reach that hand up towards the ceiling. Now that will twist through the spine. If you want to, you can look over your shoulder up towards that hand. Quite a deep twist though, so just work with what's comfortable. And then feed that hand back down towards your ragdoll and do it on the opposite side. So this is kind of a bit like our thread the needle in standing in box position, where we reach up and then we pass down. Let's do one more on each side if you're happy. Remember, you could just hang in that ragdoll stretch. You don't have to add these twists. Make sure you're keeping your neck nice and long. Final side. Lovely. And then come back to the ragdoll and just hang there for a moment. And as we hang here, let's connect back in with our breathing. So nice deep breath in, right down to the bottom of your lungs. And exhale. And once more, deep breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to stack back up to stand. So hopefully that's loosened off all through the upper spine. Let's come into arm circles now. So sweep the arms up towards the ceiling and then round to draw a circle. Really working just to keep those shoulders neatly tucked down into your back pockets. And let's wake the tummy up. So we're gently drawing the tummy towards the spine as the arms circle. Nothing too active, just a little tug of the lower tummy towards the spine, feeling a sense of tension around your belly button. Good. Fantastic. Okay. Next time we're going to take those arms up into our Y stretch. Drop those shoulders down away from the ears. Now I want you to imagine a beam of light shining out your breastbone. So it's shining forwards. Now let that beam of light shine up towards the ceiling. So we're arching the upper back. Now bring that beam of light back forwards again and shine upwards. And you're just going to allow your gaze to follow that movement. So it's an extension of the upper back. Keep working. And as you stretch backwards, you should feel that tummy lengthen. And that length is going to give us a sense of control. Good. One more. Lovely. And come back to the centre and hands back down again. Oh, I'm feeling much better already. Okay, so we've loosened up there. Let's work the legs a little bit. So we're going to work with around the clock. So you've got 3 points: forwards, side and behind. So place your hands on your pelvis. If you need a little bit of help with balance, just use a chair or the wall. But we're aiming to keep this pelvis level. So shift your weight across to one side, but try not to let the pelvis hit your dip. And then with the opposite leg, we're going to tap that leg forwards. We're going to come back to the centre, and then we tap to the side and back to the centre. And we tap behind. Good. Come back to the centre, same leg, out to the side and back in and forwards. Now what you'll start to notice is it's not really about what's going on with this moving leg. It's this standing leg that's working really hard. So we're aiming to keep that pelvis nice and neutral, not too much hitching from side to side as the opposite leg moves. Really tuck that standing hip underneath, and to do that, really push through your heel. Okay, so that we're not losing that hip out to the side. Imagine you're stood against a wall. And if you find that difficult, you could even stand against a wall to give you a bit more support. Now, if you want to work a little bit harder, dip down into that standing leg and try and make sure that that kneecap is pointing forwards and not to the opposite corner of the room. So you've got a beam of light shining out your kneecap now, and it's heading down the road in front of you. Okay, we're going to stay here a little bit longer and really energize this standing leg. But if you want to work harder, don't tap down. So we float the leg forwards, it hovers off the floor in front of us. We come back in, we float out to the side. Big step up with that, guys. You'll really feel that standing leg challenging us a little bit more. But let's keep it going, give it a go. It doesn't matter if it goes wrong, you can come back to your taps. You're still going to be working just as hard. Okay, that standing leg should be really warm now. Let's do one more round. Good. And I want you to all meet me with your leg out behind, okay? And then we're going to come into a bow here. So you're standing on one leg, you've got the opposite leg out behind. Now that toe could be tapped down towards the floor. We're going to stretch that leg out behind us as we reach down with both hands. Now you could stay here, or you could float that leg up and off the mat. We did this a couple of weeks ago. Hinging at the hips. Now stand back up again as your foot taps down, and then we hinge again. So we lower the shoulders and stretch or lift the leg. 2 more. Standing legs should be nice and spicy now. Super hot through these glutes. Good. And 1 more. Hold this one. Hold this one. And touch down. Super. Come back to the middle. Stretch those legs off. Give them a shake. We're going again. It's going to feel a bit harder this second time round because we've already worked this standing leg. So feet hip distance apart. A slight shift of your weight onto your standing leg, and then begin to tap through that little sequence forwards, sidewards, and behind, back to the middle, out to the side. Think about your standing leg, as stable as you can manage. Take a pause if you need to, reset and rejoin. So now we know what we're doing. Let's add in our levels straight away if we want to. So no touch down, just hover that leg a couple of inches off the mat. Good, nice and tall through your spine. We're really aiming to be in that magician's box. So from the waist up, nothing's happening. From the waist down, all the action's happening. Good. You can bend that standing leg a little bit more if you want a bit more of a challenge. Looking good, guys, who I can see on my screen. Everybody, I can see most people from the waist up, and everybody's looking like they're holding that lovely position. Okay, let's do one more round. Good, nice long legs, and then we're going to all catch up together at that leg stretched out behind. Come back into that bow. So standing leg, knee is soft. Opposite leg behind, you can just stretch that leg behind you as you reach down, or we can lift the leg, aiming maybe to bring the shoulders and hips in line. Oh, lost my balance. Remember, you can use a little bit of support for this if you need to. You should feel the back of the leg lengthen as you lower down towards the mat with your shoulders. Okay, a few more. I'm coming to see how you're getting on with those. Well done, George, lovely. Nice, Lauren, well done. Imagine you're playing a round of golf and you've just hit a hole in one and you're reaching down to get your golf ball out the hole. Good stuff. Looking good, team. Okay, one more and hold. Keep holding. Keep holding. Beautiful, and touch down and come back to the centre and let's shake it out. Okay. Right, before we come down into the mat, let's just work a little bit into the sides of the body. So step your feet wider than your hips and turn those toes towards the corners of the room. Reach down the outside of one leg, feeling a lovely stretch through the side of the body. Just let your head hang heavy down to that side, and we come back to the centre and we go up and over the opposite way. Good, and let's just move with our breath this time. So breathing really allows us to relax into these movements. Don't mind if you breathe in or out, but just make sure that breath flows as you go. And we're going to go a little bit deeper now as things feel a bit looser. Try not to twist, so we're just moving in one plane of movement. Imagine you're stood between two glass doors and you don't want to leave any fingerprints or prints of you on those glass doors, so try and keep that movement nice and smooth. Okay, holding down to one side, reach the opposite hand up and over now and glance to that underside of that shoulder if you feel steady to do so. So a long stretch through the side of the body. Keep holding, keep holding, keep holding, and then come back to the centre, and we're going straight over to the opposite side. So reach down, take it up and over with that top arm and look up towards the underside of your arm. Keep a nice long neck, so shoulder blades down to the back pockets. Open up the underside of that shoulder. Keep holding, keep holding, keep holding, and come back to the centre. Great work, guys. Straight down onto the mat. We're going to start in sitting this evening. I'm just going to reposition my camera. So you can sit with your legs straight out in front of you. I'll show you from both angles so you know what we're doing. We're going to start with our roll up on the mat. So you might remember what this looks like. Feet are hip distance apart. Feet, knees and hips all in line. Try not to let the knees cave into one another. So keep an eye on that. Hands can be just behind the knees to begin with, and we'll have a play around with that in a moment. Start by sitting really tall. So imagine a piece of string is just lifting you up towards the ceiling. And then someone releases that tension on the string. You start to sink down, tucking your tailbone underneath, and then roll off the tailbone through the pelvis towards the spine. Same idea, one bone at a time, but we're just starting from the bottom. We're creating a C shape through the spine, and then we're drawing the shoulders forwards, and then we pull up through that string again. Let me turn side on and show you what that looks like. So nice and tall, tailbone tucks underneath. Really feel the tummy tense, rolling back as far as you can. Don't need to go too far. I can feel that working already. Slight pause at the end, and then the shoulders come forwards and we stack back up to sit. Now for those of you that know this one, you know you can bring your hands just either side of your legs and roll back if you don't feel like you need that arm support. Okay, and shoulders come forwards. Really feel this one in the tummy. So if you need to, just hang out here for a minute and join back in. Couple of key points, really keep the neck nice and long, so you've got that juicy peach resting your chin towards your chest, nice little gap there, and also make sure that rib cage is really sliding down towards the waist, and tighten the spring coils to bring you back up to sit. I'm going to come and see how you're doing with these, and then we'll build on from here. Lovely, Helen, good work. Well done, Havana, looking great. Watch those knees aren't dropping into one another, guys. Just keep those knees stacked up in those over those hips. Well done, Julia. Okay, let's add in another level now. So you could stay here, or we're going to add single tabletop. So as we roll down, we pause at the end, and then we float one leg up into tabletop. You're not going to get the knees stacked over the hip, but you're just picking that leg off the mat at about a 70-degree angle. We touch down and we stack back up, and then we go again and repeat that tabletop on the opposite leg. I'm just going to move my hands out of the way so you can see what's going on there. Roll down, float up, touch down, and come back up again. And as we come into tabletop, we're trying to avoid twisting movements at the pelvis. So try and keep equal pressure through both of your bottom cheeks. Good. Okay, I'm going to go straight into our next level. So you could stay just with the roll downs. You could stay with the rolls with the leg lift, or we're going to go into a double leg lift. So we roll back, one leg floats up, the other leg floats up. There's your balance point. We touch down with 1 foot at a time and then stack back up to sit. So level 3, roll back. This is an option, might not be the option you choose to do. Go with what works for you. All of it is going to get a good amount of abdominal strengthening. Well done, Ivana. Lovely, Ashin. Great. Super. Okay, we've got 2 more of whatever option you want to do. Looking strong, Lauren. Well done, Karina. Okay. Final one. And I want you to hold this one. So choose wisely. Remember, you could be here, you could be here, or you could be here. And we're going to come into our hundreds now. So palms down and we pulse. Neck nice and long. Open up through the fronts of your shoulders. Beams of light shining out the fronts of your shoulders. Keep pulsing, don't worry, we won't quite do hundreds. If you need to drop your feet down, that's absolutely fine. But we're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Tap those feet down one at a time, bring yourself to sit and continue to curl yourself around bent knees. Woo, okay. Stay here and hug those knees nice and tightly. Should feel lovely just to open up the back. And then I want you just to keep hugging one leg, but see if you can straighten the opposite leg away. And then we're starting to feel a bit of a stretch down the back of that straight leg now. Maybe you can pull your toes up towards the ceiling. Maybe that feels a little bit too much. Let's swap legs now. So slide the straight leg towards you and straighten the other leg. Maybe toes up, maybe not. And then let's just lengthen both legs. You can soften the knees slightly if that feels uncomfortable. But just taking a lovely deep breath in as we breathe out, reach down towards your knees, your shins, or maybe those toes. And as we did at the start, just roll that chin down towards your chest and breathe deeply. And just observe as we breathe how our body starts to accept that sense of stretch and allows us maybe just to nudge a little bit further into it. Marvellous. Okay, keeping those legs out straight, come back to sit. Hands either side of you on the mat, pointing away. So hands pointing out like so. Okay, we're going to roll the, point the toes down, roll the thighs into one another, and then push through the heels of your hands. As you push through the heels of your hand, you'll feel your breastbone lift. Now you may just stay here, or you may be able to continue to engage that sense of lift and lift your hips away from the mat. If that feels really difficult, bend your knees slightly and lift from there. Okay, so little way of making it a touch easier with bent knees, or we're going to go for straight legs. We're going to just do one of these. Drop your chin towards your chest. It's the only time you're allowed to squeeze your peach. Hold it for as long as you can. Let me come and see you. Remember, nice long neck. So as you lift it up, keep pushing through the heels of your hands, opening out through the fronts of your shoulders. Beautiful. Well done, guys. Good work. Okay, and then slowly lower down and hug those knees once more. Beautiful. Did anybody breathe? It looked like either everybody's cameras froze or everybody was holding their breath then. Okay, so we're going to come down onto the mat now. We're going to challenge the rotation of our pelvis. So set yourself up in your rest position. And I want you to imagine you've got a tray of drinks resting across your waist. And you're going to take one of those drinks and place it on your left knee. So we've got to keep the left knee nice and steady and the tray of drinks nice and steady as well. Now, as we do that, we're going to allow our right knee just to roll out to the side. Doesn't matter how far it goes, but what does matter is, are we spilling that drink on the left knee? Are we keeping our tray of drinks level? Draw that knee back into the centre and repeat that on the same side. So right knee floats out, left knee stays steady. And have a look at what your knee's doing. If your knee's starting to join in with your right leg, then you're not using that hip to stabilise. Push your left hip into the mat. You can even put your hand underneath your hip, make sure that it's not lifting away. So a bit of a mobility challenge, gets our hips moving, but also a sense of stability around the pelvis. Let's keep going with these. It's quite a low level exercise, but good to come back to the simple stuff so that we know we've got that control. Well done, Chris, looking good. Okay, so we're going to stay with that right leg, and you might just want to continue to focus on that control and sense of twist. Otherwise, we're going to bring the left leg into tabletop, okay? So float that right knee above the hip. Keep that leg nice and steady. You've still got a drink on it, but it's resting on the front of the knee now. And then continue with your hip twist on your right leg. It's going to be a little bit harder now for us to hold our drink because we've got a little bit less contact with the mat. Good, we've got 4 more, okay? If that feels like too much of a challenge, or you're rolling off that left hip, then just place your foot back down onto the mat and carry out your final 2. And final 1. Lovely. Okay, press that left foot back down. We're going to swap over. So we're going to have the tray of drinks still resting here, but we're going to put 1 drink on our right knee now, and we're going to let our left leg drop out to the side. Now, because we've already done this on the other side, if you want to go straight into that second level, please feel free to do so. So you'd have your right leg in tabletop and your left leg rolling out to the side, or you can just work with the left leg on its own. I'm just going to show you from front on what that looks like. So if I was doing a good job of keeping this knee nice and still, lovely and stable. If I'm not doing quite a good job, as this leg goes out to the side, oh, it wants to join in, okay? And here I am in tabletop with that knee rolling out to the side. Lovely, okay, a few more. And we're going to build on this idea here. So if you feel like this is a good enough challenge for you, then stick with it. Well done, George, looking good. Fiona, good work. Just remember that 90-degree angle, knee and hip. Make sure your foot isn't dropping down towards the mat. Super, okay. Lovely, come back to your centre, and now we're going to work a little bit on our double tabletop. So we're going to float one leg up into tabletop, and then we're going to bring the other leg to meet it. Pause, and then float one leg down at a time. Okay, think we're all good with double tabletop, so I'm happy for you all to work into this. So one leg up, the other one stacks up 2, and then we come down 1 at a time. Okay, for those of you that want to, you can add abdo prep, so head and shoulders lift. We float the legs up, we reach down and float the head and shoulders up. Head and shoulders come back down. It's just a little lift and lower, and then 1 foot down at a time. Just an option if you wanted to work the upper tummy. Remember, with our abdo prep, we keep that nice juicy peach between the chin and the chest. We don't squash it. We keep the neck nice and long, and we initiate that movement from the rib cage. Okay, we've got 2 more, with or without your abdo prep. Super. 1 more, and we're going to hold this tabletop from here. So we're all in double tabletop, heads and shoulders down on the mat now. So option 1 is we're just going to practice a static hold of this tabletop. The hips are at 90 degrees, the knees are at 90 degrees, and we're going to keep that nice and steady position. We can hug the knees if it gets tired and set back up again, or we can come back into that idea of a hip twist. So one leg floats out to the side as the other leg stays steady. Swap sides with this one, so we're going to go from left to right. Now we've got to work really hard on not letting that stable hip lift away from the mat. So a good idea is just to place your hands underneath the backs of your hips and see if you're keeping the pressure on the side that you're twisting away from. Good, let me come to see you. Remember, if that feels like too much of a challenge, just keep going with your double tabletop holds, coming in and out of that as you're able to. Ivana, that looks great. Oh, hello, Julia's little boy. You're looking good. Well done, Chris. Beautiful. Okay, 2 more on each side. Everybody's doing a great job here. Really good work, guys. 1 more on each side. And then we're going to hold that double tabletop. If you've got anything left, we're going to come into hundreds. So pulse those arms. Good. Head and shoulders can float up if you want to. And we're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Instead of lowering those feet, bring those knees towards the chest and gently rock from side to side. Good work. Good rotary challenge there. All did really well. Okay, we're nearly finished. We're just going to finish with some mobility work for the spine as we energize the back line of the body. So set yourself back up in your rest position, feet are hip distance apart, and we're going to work into our bridge exercise now. So start by gently pressing the small of your spine into the mat. Imagine there's a sponge underneath it and you're just squeezing the water out the sponge. From there, you should feel your tailbone starts to lift. We're going to continue with that sense of lifting as we peel our spine away from the mat. Still have the idea of one bone moving at a time through your spine. And we lift until we feel comfortable and the hips are lifted, creating a diagonal line from the knees through the hips to the shoulders. Now try not to collapse into your shoulders. So push your knees towards your feet. That's what it looks like, okay? Try not to let the rib cage flare up. We're still keeping that rib cage connected down towards the hips. And then we're going to smooth our spine back down towards the mat. One bone at a time, remember. So you are a piece of Velcro, peeling yourself away from the mat. Let's go again, starting from the bottom. Up towards the mid-back. Now, a really nice mobility exercise, but you can probably feel already backs of the legs working, the bottom's working, and if you push into your heels, you'll feel that bottom lift even more. Good, and just keep working through those bridges. The slower you go, the more you'll get out of them. You'll be able to really initiate that movement at every level of your spine, and you will feel those hips working. Glance down in between and just check your pelvis is level. If you notice one side of your pelvis is just slightly dipped lower, squeeze that hip a little bit harder and see if you can level out. Good. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more mobility for the top part of the spine now. So when you come into your next bridge, you're going to reach your hands up and over to the top of your mat. Keep them there, and now smooth your spine back down. And you feel the sense of opening through the shoulders and the front of the body. Lovely. Once you've touched down, hands come back down to your side, and we repeat. So we peel up into our bridge, peel through the spine. Once we get to the top, we reach up and over, and then we smooth that spine back down again, keeping the hands above the head. And bring those hands back down. Let's do 3 more because I think these are feeling good for me anyway. And hopefully you're still getting that sense of those legs working hard to drive you up. Any pinching in the back, then just avoid too much peeling and just lift those hips up in one sort of smoother movement if it feels a bit easier for you. Okay, final one. Although I think I could do with a few more of these this evening. Good work, team. Okay, final exercise, another mobility exercise. Take your hands and reach them to the sides of you. Make sure you've got enough space now. As we bring our feet and knees together, imagine you've tied a ribbon around your knees and your feet, and you're just going to take your knees over to one side, allow your feet to stack on top of one another. Let gravity just lower your knees towards the mat. And then if you're happy, you can glance over the opposite shoulder, coming into a nice twist through the spine. Remember to breathe and then bring your knees back to the center and go over to the opposite way. So just let your knees settle and then add that twist. Lovely. Also a lovely way of opening up through the fronts of the shoulders. So we're going to do one more, but this time, once you get to the end of that stretch, if you want to touch more, take your top leg and start to straighten your knee. Now, straightening your knee might be hard enough, but if you can, start to sweep your foot up towards the hand that's reached out to the side. And there we get a lovely sense of lengthening through the back and outside of that leg. Quite a deep stretch though, so only work with what's comfortable for you. Brilliant. So sweep that leg back, bend your knees and stack your feet and hips on top of one another. Come back to the center. I believe we've got one more side to go. And again, you can work to lengthen through that leg, sweeping it along as if you're drawing an arch through the carpet. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And then come back to the center and hug your knees to your chest just to level everything out.